Hey everyone, and welcome back to Cartel Files. My name is Adrian, and my job is to simplify laser design for you so you can start building your next project quicker. Now, have you been seeing these all around the internet? Well, I have, and I thought it's about time that I start building one. This is a Halloween wreath. It's designed to go on your front door and be a greeting for trick-or-treaters. It's basically made out of two pieces of material. It could be either acrylic or painted plywood, for example. And they're going to be stuck together with a black layer on top and an orange layer on the bottom. So I can show you how I designed this. It's super simple. Should be a very quick project. But before we jump into that, please give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe to the YouTube channel. It really helps us grow and keep making new content for free for you every week. So let's dive in. Okay, so basically what I did first was I took into account the size of a standard door and also the size of my laser cutting machine. And I designed basically the maximum, that I thought would look right and fit within that area. So I settled on a 400 by 400 millimeter design. And as you can see, it's comprised of basically a circle with an inner circle to make that sort of black outer border, and then a few other things on top. And then there will be an orange circle, which everything gets stuck down onto. That will be the base. Okay, so let's get started. First thing we want to do is go over to our tools and click on our ellipse tool, okay, and drag out a circle, and we want to make sure that its size is that maximum size that we came up with. So 400 by 400 is what I think will be right for this project. Then what I want to do is click that circle, press Ctrl C and then Ctrl V to make a copy and then paste that copy. And instead of 400 by 400 on this copy, I want it to be 380 by 380. So that's basically, a nice circle that's around about 2 centimeters smaller than the outer circle. Cool. Now, if I select everything and I give it a black fill, it'll just be a fully black circle. And that's not what we want. We want it just to be that outline that gets filled. So what we need to do is come up to our toolbox and press this option here, Combine. And now that makes one object with those two circles. And now if you press the black, you can see it just gives us that outline there because the object is filled between those two circles that we made. Perfect. Now, if we go back to the original design, you can see that we've got some scary elements, let's say, some jack-o'-lanterns and some bats. Now, I recently uploaded on Cartel Files a mega pack, which you can see here, and it's got a whole bunch of scary monsters and stuff like that. Go ahead, you can download that from cartelfiles.com so you can follow along, or if you don't want to use my designs, go ahead, build your own design, or have a look on Cartel Files. You may find another suitable image. But I'm going to choose the jack-o'-lantern image here and click on the page to insert it. And what I want to do is just edit this jack-o'-lantern a little bit. So you can see this is more designed to be laser engraved. So it has a lot of detail like these little dots and stuff. But we're going to be laser cutting this, and I don't want to put in all these individual little dots into our design and sticking them all together. It's just going to be way too time consuming. So what I'm going to do is right hand click on the jack-o'-lantern and go down to this option here, ungroup all. Okay, and now what I can do is select all those little dots and just delete them. We don't need any of those dots. They are just going to complicate the design for no reason. Cool. Last thing we want to do is if we highlight everything, and while it's all ungrouped, this is the easiest time to do it, we can go up here to the combine option. So hit combine, and now that makes one image using all the different components. Okay, so it's one design now, one curve. And also it removes any of the background. So you can see here, there's no white background. It's just the raw curve. Cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to put that somewhere like that. Actually, maybe I'll leave it on the right hand side and then make a copy, maybe a slightly larger. And I'm going to come up here while it's selected and press the mirror option. And that's going to just make sure that the stalk or the stem part of the jack-o'-lantern is facing away from each other. And I kind of like when they're a little bit offset, not perfectly in line. And I think that looks good. And as you can see, a little bit of this outline is overlapping here, as well as it's overlapping this portion here. And that's important because I want as many of the pieces to all be connected together. Obviously, the more individual pieces there are, the longer it's going to take to assemble this design. Because you got to think, we're going to stick the black piece onto the orange backing to get that sort of contrast that you can see in the original design here. Okay, so the least amount of options or least amount of individual parts that we need to stick down, the better. Cool. So now let's work on getting these bats into our design. So if I import this image, this cat image here, you can see there's a little bat in the background. That's where I got that bat from. Okay. Again, I'm going to select it and press ungroup all. That allows me to just select that bat. Okay, and we can get rid of everything else that we don't need. Resize the bat to roughly what I think is appropriate, maybe a little bit bigger, and try and get that in the center at the top there. All right, you can click on the bat and then hold down Shift and click the outer circle. That now allows you to center the bat horizontally. So press C and moved it only by a tiny bit, so I was pretty close. But now that bat is perfectly in the center of the design. Now if we click the bat and drag it, you can see there's a blue outline that shows. And then if you right-hand click before releasing your mouse button, it creates a duplicate. And what I want to do is just find a nice position where it looks good, where we've got a bit of the top of this wing overlapping with the bottom of this one, and where the wing tip falls off the side of the circle, because I think that just gives it a little bit more of an interesting design. Then we can do the same on the right-hand side. We just find a nice spot. And again, make sure that a little bit of the wing is falling off the circle. And I think that looks cool. Now what we've got to do is fill in the writing in the middle. Okay, so what we do is we go over to our text tool. Okay, and we can start typing happy, and then on a separate line, Halloween. Perfect. Now I think this font looks a bit too boring. So select both of those text elements and come up to your font list. And I've downloaded this font. It's called Ghoulies. It's a free font. You can download that. And that just gives you a little bit of a scarier, more Halloween themed font to play with. Bring that font into the design, and now we can start resizing it and making it look proportionate to what we're doing here. So let's make this a little bit larger, maybe something like this. And I definitely want the top wording to touch the bottom wording. Again, this is going to just simplify and remove the amount of different elements. Okay, because you can see that the A and the O will sort of stick together, the H and these two L's, and we can keep playing around with the spacing and stuff like that to make all the rest of the letters fit together, which I might just do now. There you go. Again, I'm always trying to simplify and try and make as many of the elements all fit together. Just makes, producing these parts, let's say I have to make 20 of these, quicker and less time consuming. So now that we've got our text in the right spot and looking how we want, we need to now convert them to a curve. So you can right hand click and you press convert to curve, or Control Q is the shortcut for that. And then that will allow us in the next step to delete any of the overlapping lines. When it's a text object, you can't do that. All right, so now we're pretty much done with our design in terms of layout. But if I was to select everything, remove the fill and give it a red outline for cutting, okay, you can see where we now run into some issues. So for example, here in the wing, okay, all these pieces will just fall apart because we have all these overlapping lines, which we can't have in our ultimate design. So what we get to do is come up here and go down to my favorite tool, the virtual segment delete tool. And we can come in here and start deleting all the lines that we don't need. So that's these lines, these lines, these lines. And now you can see the outer circle is now bonded with that first bat. We can delete the lines between these two bats so those sort of stick together and have like a rigid bond between them. Delete these lines. Okay. And we just continue going through deleting all the lines that we don't need. So that's those bats done now. And you can see why I had them overlap here. Otherwise they'll just be flapping but and not connected, and there could be potentially a point where they could break. All right, now we need to go into here and start deleting all of these points where these lines overlap, which looks fine to me. And then lastly, coming down here and deleting all of these lines. Do that one in a second. This should only take 2 minutes maximum. And that's what I like about this process. Nice and quick. So yep, we might actually need those lines after all. Let's see what this looks like with these lines deleted. Yep, I think that looks good. And now what I always do is, if I'm unsure if I've done a good job or if there's pieces missing, I come over here to my Smart Fill tool. See that option there? And I make sure my fill is set to a color that I want. So in this case, RGB 0, which is a black color. And I click within an area where I know I want filled. Okay, and you can see now that object has been filled in. So all this piece is going to be all one object, which is great. And that, that's a big majority of the design all as one piece. All right, now I want to come in and fill in all the rest of the design with this black. And the reason why I do this is because now, for example, these two letters, the Y and the E, this is one object now. Whereas before it was two separate curves. Okay, so let's now just fill in everything. And in our objects panel now, you can see a list of all the curves that I've just filled in with black. I want to select them all by hitting Shift and then clicking the first and the last option. that'll select them all, and we can move them out. So here's our original vector curve design, and then these are our objects that we've made using those vector curves. All right, perfect. So we can delete these vectors now, we don't need them anymore. And lastly, what we need to do is just make another circle. It's going to be 400 by 400 to match the size of our original design. And we want to fill that in with orange. Okay. And now these two objects need to be placed on top of each other. Okay, so I grouped everything. The way I do that is just select everything on the right here, so all these individual objects, and then you can either right-hand click and press group, or I just press Control G, which is the shortcut. Now with that grouped, I can hold down Shift and click my circle, press E and then C, and that places them both on top of each other. And if we look in the objects panel here, you can see that the orange circle is above the group of objects. So I want to just click on that and drag it below, and then that just rearranges the order of those two objects. And there you go. There's your design. So this would be what we consider a preview of what the final result would look like. And then what we can do is we can make a copy of that, just like that, drag out our orange circle, and then both of these, we will just give it a red outline and no fill, and these will be our cut files. So preview on the right, and then our two cut files, one being the wood or the acrylic, which is going to be painted or will be black acrylic, for example, and then the one on the right will be our orange that everything gets stuck onto. So I would really love for you guys to make this design your own. Maybe use some different objects in there, maybe a scary cat or a witch or something. Be very creative, but use this process in order to make your own design. Maybe try and incorporate some holes at the top so you can put some string or some rope and hang it off your door. But please get creative with it now that you know the process. And if you'd like your image of your wreath shown in the next video, please send a photo of it to hello@cartelfiles.com, or you can post it on our Facebook Cartel Files, and it'll be featured in the next video. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow and keep producing free content for you. I'll see you in the next video. Happy Halloween.